that sense, the silence is going to be very useful for a long period of the game.
We see that Sven ban. Death Prophet also, her ultimate is entirely physical, so any positive armor buffs on LGD is going to reduce how much damage and effectiveness she has in team fights.
Surprised we haven't seen Shaker. I think XSS could easily play it. I think it's pretty good versus Tusk and pretty decent versus Magnus, and very good at protecting the Death Prophet. Yao's picked up one of his most common supports, Shadow Shaman, as the position 5. Nothing too surprising there.
Yeah, Shaker is good against the Shadow Shaman as well to cancel the Shackle from long distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking at Ame's hero, he's been playing a lot of Troll. Troll seems okay here.
They got the Magnus, so
yeah, it's playable.
I prefer, like, if people are going to pick Troll, I'd really prefer them to wait until they see what kind of core matchup they're in. I think their hero has some pretty big flaws. Let's see. We have Shadow Shaman for Yao. He played it a bit the other day, and they have all this team fight, and they just kind of sit behind Yao, and he runs in and is almost like this sacrificial lamb who drops wards and hides behind trees while they kill buildings. It almost forces IG to fight them, or they just give up their towers.
Yeah, there's something that Bulba noted yesterday backstage, that looking at a lot of these lineups, the ones that have lots of big different threats are doing very well. Obviously, Magnus has the Blink RP to set up huge team fights. Shadow Shaman, if left alone, he can throw down wards and knock down towers while you're not looking.
I really like Juggernaut right now. I think that it can work. I know the hero hasn't been the most popular hero, and he might not be the best hero, but I think he works really well here. He's really great with the spin of dodging glimpse and getting out of disruptor spells. Also,
and just dodging the Earth Spirit when he's gonna silence you and stun you.
Tons of tools to deal with Earth Spirit. Also up against Death Prophet, Juggernaut's a hero that builds Diffusal Blade. Most Death Prophets go Eul Scepter, and they Euls themselves to protect themselves during their ultimate. But you can just diffuse her and bring her back down, and you can burst her.
Disruptor is a very good pick here for IG as well, because they're gonna have an option to both try to catch the mag and kill him before he gets his ultimate off, but also during the laning phase, because the one thing that Magnus can use to get away is his skewer, and then Disruptor can just glimpse him. So they actually have a lot of kill potential on him now.
The XXS Earthshaker. Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about this 4th pick, where LGD kind of has to throw down Queen of Pain.
Yep. They had to pick something pretty neutral.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't have a ton of counters, but is going to do well in his lane. The nice thing is they saw the Death Prophet first too, so they kind of knew what that matchup was most likely going to be.
Struggles a lot versus silences, though. There's 3 silences.
Yeah.
And an Earth.
I mean, this is definitely a BKB game for Queen of Pain.
Yeah.
I would say second item, treads, and then...
Jules is not the best right here, because if he actually uses the Jules, she's setting up for other spells.
Yeah, I don't... Jules is so situational for me on a lot of these intelligence heroes, Storm, Quab, Puck. I don't think that this is the best game for that. I think just getting that earlier BKB and being able to take fights is going to be very clutch.
Surprised they banned Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker's unusual ban out unless you already show your 1 position. I think he counters AM and Lycan the most of the 1 positions, so they might be setting up for like an AM. AM actually seems pretty good versus IG.
Burning has played it a couple times this tournament, and he's done fairly well on the hero. This is kind of like a free ban for a team with last pick. They say, what's the one hero I just really don't want to play against? Also, they're definitely picking a melee hero to pair up with Magnus here.
Yep.
So Bloodseeker is kind of an anti-melee hero in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Also, they can't give Invictus a 4th silence.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could.
All in on silence.
They could. Yeah, they might be 2 all in on silence at that point. Dota's a delicate balance. You need to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
So we've seen Queen of Pain be, again, in a lot of situations where it feels like you need something neutral. We've seen tons of teams go for Queen of Pain. It hasn't really seemed to have very much success at the main stage.
This pick's also often a little tough, too. You have to pick your 1 before you see the opponent's 1, so you can also pick something more neutral. I think like Weaver's pretty neutral, is like pretty decent in most matchups.
Anything anti-melee is how I feel. You know it's coming.
Faceless Void.
Anti-melee. Yeah, I like it.
We've even seen Faceless Void and Magnus Empower coming out yesterday. So,
it could have been an option for LGD as well. No, I really like that pick. They've got a ton of great heroes up against melee. This melee core that I do believe is coming for Burning or for Ame, right?
There it is, the Troll Warlord plus Magnus that was mentioned right at the start gets closed out, and Invictus Gaming has some intimidating team fight with the Disruptor, Earthshaker, and Faceless Void. It's time for game number 1 to begin. Each of these teams is guaranteed top 6, but would love to win here today to get into top 4. Take it away, casters.
Top 4 is definitely what both of these teams are chasing. LGD versus Invictus Gaming. And Toby here with a wonderful Synderen. Man, what a series. LGD versus IG. Still kicking hard. We look at the drafts. It's very expected, I'd almost say, of what we're wanting from LGD as well as IG.
Yeah, kind of. I think PPD made a good point that these two teams have been showing extremely high skill and also know each other very well. So when you're in that sort of comfort matchup, you could almost say, then there's two options. Either you try to really take them out of their comfort zone and completely surprise, or you stick to your guns because you kind of have an expectation of what the other team will do. And they've kind of just been, counterpicking and counterpicking and counterpicking while getting their own heroes. There's a lot of heroes, obviously, to highlight in this game. 11 on the Magnus. We've got Boboka, Earth Spirit. The one that I think wasn't given that much attention was the OP Death Prophet, which I think he's maybe the best player in the world on this hero, or at least easily top 3. Has been having outstanding games. I believe it was at the Kiev Major that IG were just first phasing this hero as the only team. It got respect banned against them. So certainly a lot of comfort picks for both teams.
So it's that confidence to do it again, first phasing up that Death Prophet. And we will get ourselves underway already. LGD looking to establish map control. And they are going to run that 11 Magnus up towards the off lane. Do you like the Tuskar pickup as well? Something else that LGD has moved into. We see a lot of team fight coming out from him. Is the Tuskar going to offer maybe that presence to the mid lane to try and control OP's Death Prophet?
It's a good hero against the Death Prophet in lane because Death Prophet is very movement based when it comes to the lane. You wanna, when you siphon, you want to be able to run heroes down, or siphon to disengage or slow your opponent and run away from them. But the shards can counteract both types of play. In addition, it gives them catch. I think it's very nice when you look at how Victoria plays. He generally plays this Kunkka and the Tusk we see here as they were talking about. And I think this is just LGD's replacement pick when they can't get their Kunkka. This is a good way to go. It's similar to Kunkka in the sense that Kunkka has both the aggressive and the defensive potential with X Mark and Ghost Ship, and Tusk is similar. You have the aggressive and defensive Snowball, and the shards can also be used aggressively and defensively. So I think it's just a good hybrid aggressive defensive support pick that LGD seem to really favor for Victoria.
Well, we'll see just how effective it will be in this game. For the moment, Magnus has been forced off that top bounty room. Burning will take it. IG haven't gotten on to the fact there was an observer ward also placed down around the corner. Everything else, as far as tempo goes from the game, what are both teams really looking for here? Are you happy just to let the lanes play out, maybe just look for that rotation gank in towards the mid, and let the safe and the off lane just be very passive? Or should there be more rotations to other lanes? Or is mid just the focus?
It's a bit hard to say. The Queen of Pain is not the easiest target to gank for the Earth Spirit, and similarly, actually, we're going to have action right away. OP.
Yeah, he's actually letting the Spirit Siphon go pretty early on. Victoria comes in with the shards, pushing OP down. Somnus getting a lot of damage into OP. He's already going to just munch on the Tango. Happy tree. Boboka not really having an influence until that point, but now it's the supports who have to create space for their mids.
Yeah, this is every mid game at TI. It seems like
the only thing we're missing is the Nyx Assassin Mana Burn,
yep,
and
that's
it's literally the classic mid.
That is true. No Mana Burn this time around. Did get first phase banned together with the Night Stalker, so Nyx still banned. Now that was, I think, the 100th ban on Nyx and the 99th on Night Stalker. When you see so many bans on that type of heroes, it really tells something about the style of play that the teams favor.
I was waiting for you to say it's going to tell about the patch log, which comes out shortly after TI.
More than likely going to have an influence on that. If the hero gets banned so much, it has a tendency to get nerfed. Nice bash from Burning. He's practiced that for years. Is he the oldest competitor this year? I think he's 29.
The age of the player, I'm not certain. As far as the years of playing Dota, he's got to be up there.
He's definitely up there, that's for sure. One of the very old school players from all the way back in Dota 1. Went under both the nicknames of Burning and I believe AAA for a while. That's a long time ago when he played on eHome, like in 2009 or 10.
I'll give you a +1 point for your memory, Syndra.
Thank you.
I got a little bit of a movement coming out from Yao. Looks like he's just coming up for the 2-minute rune. And Boboka gets himself an action rune, so a double damage may not be enough. OP only has the Crypt Swarm plus the Spirit Siphon, so they don't have that instant. Actually, you do have the Earth Spirit up at level 2, so it's an opportunity. Roll forward, they keep the silence on Somnus, but it's not long enough. And now maybe the shards turn around. No, it cannot lock in Boboka. So Somnus will just burn the south. The gank potentially could have worked just because that level 2 on the ES.
It's still successful for IG. You want to keep the pressure up on this Queen of Pain and not just let her farm and play aggressively on the Death Prophet. They want to respond, force the Queen of Pain to buy regen, so you delay her other item progression, and especially when you have that double damage. And oh, nice shards!
Yeah, it's going to hold OP in position.
That's not enough. Already used that Shadow Strike onto the Earth Spirit, so they couldn't commit for the Death Prophet with it. And it looks like Boboka is just going to walk away for a little bit, probably use his Flask and his Clarity here and get ready to fight. That's exactly what he's going to do. So I'm not sure if we're going to see him rotate and try to do anything elsewhere. For now, the off lanes for both teams are getting quite a decent amount of farm, as is the norm in this patch. So both of them sitting on level 3, not getting completely shut down whatsoever.
The only problem you probably have is for Magnus bottom lane. Troubles, Yao. Here comes just Snowball forward. XSS underneath the tower. The shards. It doesn't block him in, but the shackles still holding him in position. The Earth, he cannot get back. Not far enough into the safety of the tier 1 tower. So LGD claim the first blood on the off-lane Earthshaker. Meanwhile in mid, there goes your silence once more onto the Queen of Pain. And she has enough life to get back to the tier 1 without forcing the blink.
Had to buy an extra pack of tangos, and he's munching through all of them, I think, here with this aggression, so the bottle is getting quite a bit delayed. Seeing maybe going for this thing that has become a lot more normal in recent times, going the double null talisman before the blink, or sorry, the bottle, so that he can contest in CS, having a little bit of extra mana and health and the damage output. It looks like the bottle will be coming out for OP though, so he's opting for that more. I mean, I'm not completely sure what the ratios are right now of what mid players do, but I feel like we're seeing more double null than null into bottle. But with DP, of course, if you have this head start, it's very nice. There's a lot of runes that are very good on DP.
Arcane is one of the best ones, especially into the later portion of the game.
Not so good right now.
No, but at least having the bottle, controlling the runes with Boboka, lets them bring Boboka back up to full health and mana, who's now going to be just hiding in a tree as Victoria walks past him, says hello, so they can at least shake hands for the moment. Boboka is like he still wants a rolling boulder forward. Somnus will be able to catch him. Shadow Strike is down. He has Scream at level 2, but with OP there is no way Somnus can commit into the Earth Spirit.
And he's going to use this Arcane Rune to get that Siphon off of that nuke, and it's very low mana cost, obviously. I think it's pretty important for OP to have this rune right now. When I look at this mid lane is going way more the Queen of Pain's way than I thought it would. He is so far up on denies. 16 denies for the Queen to the 4 of Death Prophet has actually given Somnus more or less a full level advantage in this mid lane with both of the supports helping out. And that's good news for LGD. Getting that fast level 6 on Queen before Death Prophet gets her levels up allows you to go for that key kill in the mid lane that very often swings the game a lot.
Yep. And if Death Prophet starts falling behind, if it's Invictus Gaming playing reactionary, then they can't look to use their combinations either. And we can always think about like that big combination that IG have. If you get a good Chronosphere with all the damage that will come out from Exorcism, then you've also got your Echo Slam, your control from Disruptor as well. They're all finding levels on the supports. Just these teams simmering and not wanting to really open up just yet. LGD is getting a small advantage across the map, 1,000 in gold, 600 in experience. It's a small amount, it just means their lanes are going slightly better than IG's.
And that's very good for LGD when you also have this Magnus, because what has a tendency of defeating Magnus lineups a lot of the time. Actually, wait a second, Victoria, the roll missed though, so they're not going to commit. When it comes to Magnus lineups, the way we often see them lose is either that the Magnus team gets pressured really hard early on and gets pushed before Magnus's Empower starts really kicking in and giving his cores farm, or that you have the late game carries that can deal with this RP and melee cores. And looking across the board, I think IG would have liked to have a bit more success early on in terms of just raw laning power. LGD have drafted very well around that. All 3 of their lanes are doing very, very well here.
Yep. They're just counting their time until the right moment. Are they able to harass that bottom tier 1 tower quite heavily? This is where the Catapult Wave is forcing an extra TP. It's Disruptor coming down, rolling boulder, able to connect on the Troll Warlord. Yao and Victoria's here, but Victoria can't get in straight away. That Earth Spirit kick doesn't work, but the shards massively on the money. XSS. At least he can start to create a little bit of space, but he will not survive. LGD, huge kills. And the pressure on the tower will actually make this easier for Arme to finish the job and bring down that first tier 1.
This is one of the biggest strengths of Troll Warlord. In this early laning stage, he is extremely tanky. 13 armor. The first point in Berserker's Rage gives 6 armor. He wants to go this Ring of Aquila build. So IG, I think kind of naive even trying for that kill. They TP down the Disruptor, who's level 4. These heroes combining their spells don't have the damage until Shaker's level 6. And a bit of an assessment mistake there, giving LGD some very nice kills. Victoria in the right place at the right time. There was again, kind of that hybrid play with Tusk that was both aggressive and defensive at the same time. He saved the troll and gave them 2 kills with those ice shards.
They're going to go again. Victoria, here comes the shards forward, locking in the Earthshaker Q. What can you really do here? Puts up a wall to Fissure, stunning and keeping the Troll Warlord at least away from the Earthshaker, and OP reinforcements have arrived. The Death Prophet wants a fight. They're going to get it. The Glimpse dragging Troll back into the Spirit Siphon, plus the Exorcism damage. It'll be more than enough to bring down Arme. And with this, now it's going to be Invictus Gaming to push the other way on bottom lane and attack that tier 1 tower.
This was a lot better. That was a great rotation, bringing down these heroes, using the Exorcism aggressively like this. I think maybe a necessity for OP as well to get out of mid for a little bit, because maybe it's dominating him so hard. This kind of play puts his hero to good use while he's getting out-leveled in mid. At least he secures that bottom tower. And now Shaker's going to TP into mid to try and protect this against the aggression of Somnus and Victoria. So IG get on the board, getting the first tower of the game and a little bit of a kill to boot.
They do, but LGD are looking for a rebuttal. So they send Arme up to the top lane to attack into the tier 1 tower. As you said, that mid lane was taking considerable amounts of damage. Invictus Gaming do hold it back for the moment. But IG's teamfight's going to get better. You have Chronosphere up for burning. You have the phase boots, at least for the movement speed of OP. When it comes to those teamfights, very critical for him to be in the right place. Bobrika, maybe not the greatest thing for him. Like, he's probably the weakest point of IG at the moment. Only now going to hit level 4, soaking up the experience in the mid.
This is something we see from Earth Spirits in quite a few games. It's a bit uncharacteristic for Bobrika because he has this like X factor on the hero, just a tendency to find these early kills. But in this game, I think he's a bit lineup limited in what he can do. There is no good lane to gank for him. Killing Troll with this hero is almost impossible. Killing Queen of Pain is very difficult when your mid laner is a Death Prophet. And in the top lane, maybe they could have found a pick on this Magnus if they combined their spells very nicely, but it's not the easiest either. So he's going to be a little bit slow here. This does happen sometimes to Earth Spirit. The main thing is finding level 6. Then even if your early game is slow, you can get that one great team fight with Magnetize, and then all of a sudden your hero looks like it never had a bad early game.
Still waiting for that team fight from LGD. You have Magnus. He currently went for a 4-2-1 build. So just focused on heavy farming for the moment, does have the Arcane Boots, needs that last critical item for the team fight, which is the Blink Dagger. And IG is a very non-invasive from both sides. They're not contesting any parts of the jungle for either side. It's pretty much everyone's got this almost ceasefire agreement. You're allowed to farm, and then we'll take a tier 1. Okay, then you take our tier 1 tower. Straight trade-off, we understand the rhythm of the game. But someone's going to change the beat. And LGD, under this smoke gank, maybe they can do exactly that.
This slow-paced game is certainly favoring LGD right now. They're getting through that difficult, or the hardest stage of the game, arguably, for Magnus. He's just been left to free farm. He's been giving Troll and power multiple times, so the farm is just flowing in for LGD. And 11 will not skill his RP for quite a while, probably just get 4 in empower, maybe even his talent. Yeah,
Perfect Observer Ward's going to see him. Victoria starts with the shine, just wants to block him off. Able to do so. Queen of Pain moving forward. The Fissure buys a little bit of time. There's a lot of mana in XSS, but LGD backing off the fight. They really didn't want that. Meanwhile, mid lane is OP attacking with the Exorcism, beating into the tower. They've got the Chronosphere for cover. They've got a Catapult behind them. Not to mention, all 5 heroes from Invictus Gaming have gravitated towards that mid lane.
Cute, cute little ghost fishies. Getting the tower. It's so weird to me. This cosmetic is weird.
Have you got something against fish?
No, not at all. It's just, she calls them her sisters. It's weird.
Have you got something against female fish?
I mean, I don't want to go there with this. Let's not make it gender. Oh.
Bottom lane,
yeah, he's
comes forward. He's already moved down far enough. He won't be able to avoid the kick from Bobrika. Goes for a quick hex. The wall is up, so he knows he can't go anywhere apart from just Ether shocking. Shackles was available, but doesn't use him. So IG rotate, they do find a kill. But while all this is happening, you've still got Somnus farming up the top lane. Everyone else has gone either into the jungle, into Ancients. Victoria's considering going on OP in the mid, but Armeya's got other thoughts, looking for the double damage rune in bottom, but you're not even going for that. In fact, it's going to be into the bottle of OP.
We've actually seen surprisingly little stacking from LGD, maybe even none. This troll with Empower can farm quad stacks of Ancients very easily on level 9, just having this blind from the Whirling Axis. It's a 4-second, 60% miss chance, and you cleave down these Ancients very fast, but they haven't actually been stacking for him that much. Maybe I missed a stack on the right Ancient camp, but doesn't look like it actually. He already killed the big dragon there, and then he was like, whatever, I'll go to the other camp for some reason. They could have probably amplified Ame a lot more than they have by just stacking a bit more. When you have this slow of a game, it's not that difficult for the supports to just make that little sidestep and stack a camp or two, but they've been protecting their cores more than anything with both the Shaman and the Tusk, and this aggressive move looks like it's successful in mid. The Serpent Wards will take this tower, goes the way of Yao.
Just wisely read by Yao, understanding that none of the cores from IG were there, especially the cores which can deal with mass Serpent Wards, which really are not that many. You don't have the range for it, you'll have to tank through the damage, Burning, as well as OP are really the only ones right now who can deal with mass Serpent Wards. So they take the tower, and then LGD look towards the top lane. They're ready for a fight. Veil of Discord is up from the Queen of Pain, so amplification is there, the RP is skilled. You don't have mass Serpent Wards, but there should be enough power if LGD can find just that one pick.
I think LGD still just want to wait for the blink, you know? Why not? Keep farming, keep building up this troll and this mag. As long as IG aren't bringing on the aggression, I'm with LGD for this game, with the pace it's having right now.
Just allow the farm to continue.
Yep.
Their gold lead is continuing to stretch bit by bit. It's just shy of 3,000 at the moment, just shy of 4K in the experience. So, yeah, LGD are happy to accept the status quo.
There's still good farm coming in for IG though. It's not all this Magnus Empower, and now it's gonna start to ramp up now that he has the level 4 Empower, and the natural like movement speed of the heroes is increasing. The troll's going for that Yasha, so he's going to be able to traverse the map quicker and accelerate his farm. But so far Burning has been doing a good job keeping up with this troll more or less. He's about 700 gold behind right now, which I think is definitely admirable under the circumstances of the game.
11 bodies Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
It's just that group up. You've got Smoke over on Yao, so if LGD want to look for a fight, they can do so. But is it still wise to do it? Like, you've got that Blink Dagger, you've got the timing right, but at the same time Invictus Gaming, they get their moment. They actually get the Blink Dagger for the Earthshaker coming on the Courier.
And neither team knows.
They smoked out of range of the Observer Ward.
Maybe they saw him get it delivered actually. 11, I think, might have got the Blink Dagger under that Dire Ward. They could have seen it, but the Radiant surely doesn't know that XXS has his. He is smoked up.
They didn't see it. They definitely didn't see it. XXS now coming forward, looking for that Blink Echo. Who's he going to find right now? The Echo Slam. It doesn't get the stun on the Troll. Warlord, you can still get Q's ulti out, however, but the damage. Troll standing his ground. Snowball can pick him up and drag him forward. They're going to find the kill already. Flipping the Earthshaker like an omelet into Bobakar as well. LGD really not being punished when they get caught out. You can at least put down the Chronosphere, combining with the Exes, but Yao holding OP in position. They need space with the RP. LGD! They already thought they had themselves a good fight. They end up claiming 4 hero kills.
I'm really surprised they tried to go for that. Like, it looked like a good chrono into DP ulti, and they do get that 1 kill on the Tusk, but they were kind of just going in 2-on-5. Disruptor was already forced out of the fight after getting his Static Storm down. They didn't get that kill, and the Troll, once again, just a bit too tanky. That Echo Slam has to connect first. And instead of going for a mini blink there, the Shaker tried to melee Echo Slam, but he was a little bit out of range. Then he has to blink to get the Enchant Totem, and that creates the distance for Trolls. We're going to see it here. The Echo actually, I think it missed completely.
It did.
Now he gets in, gets the Fissure, and that little bit of damage is what they were lacking. Troll turns around, starts hitting with that high life steal, and Victoria brings him in with the Snowball. Again, that both defensive and aggressive play at the same time with the Snowball this time around is going to put LGD in a great position. Now they have the Aegis and a 5k advantage.
That really is the sweet spot for LGD. Exactly what they wanted to do. Their first team fight, the reveals of the Blink Daggers. So Invictus Gaming not getting what they want. They have to wait. until you get Echo Slam back off cooldown. Before you have these big, long cooldown abilities, it's another minute or so until you get both Void, Ulti, and Exorcism back.
That's a good point about the Dire lineup. It's very cooldown reliant. The Radiant obviously have some key cooldowns as well in the RP and the Sonic Wave, but outside of those, when you look across the lineups, it seems like the key cooldowns are more integral to the success of the Dire teams. Just plays around the map than for the Radiant. So whenever these fights happen, LGD are going to feel confident to both farm aggressively and push towers. And with the Aegis, it's going to be no problem whatsoever for Ame to just walk down this right side of the map. Look at his net worth right now compared to everyone else in the game.
9.5k. He's a full 2.5 grand in front of the Faceless Void. You said it was
good
only
team fight and Empower
before.
Good team fight and Empower, and there you go. So Sanjin Yasha, Mask of Madness Phase Boots, minute 17. This is really, really high farm. This is above his standard for Troll, for sure.
LGD are now moving that Troll to the top lane. Burning, being forced out of his own jungle. He wants to be able to farm this, but thanks to the Observer Ward vision from LGD, they can see Invictus Gaming's movements around the mid-tier 2. They'll understand when IG also go into their jungle. But the easier way just to make that jungle more fearful, remove all of the outer towers on the top lane.
Troll took this tower down in a matter of seconds with Empower, and he didn't even ulti. Just Empower and the Fervor stacking up. This is pretty bad news for IG. They're actually getting crushed after their own aggressive move. That backfired so hard that they lost complete control of the map.
Here comes the fight again. LGD trying to keep that momentum and make it even bigger. It's the smoke maneuver. As well, they can break. They don't find a target just yet, but top lane, it's going to be the Earthshaker. RPM up, the solo flip. OP will arrive, but then again, you put the Mass Serpent Wards down. And Yao even caught the Earth Spirit. Bobica wanting to come and help. The Glimpse, he's just trying to get some space here. Cupid gets his TP, but it won't happen. Invictus Gaming are dropping like flies. And LGD, they can do no wrong.
This is an absolute beatdown right now. This tier 2 tower is gone as well, and all of these IG teamfight abilities that you look at and you're like, this is a great teamfight lineup. It's just not happening. The lanes went well for LGD, the Queen of Pain and the Troll had good starts. They got that one good fight, and their lineup just is snowballing completely. Now the TP in from Bobica.
Are they really going to be able to do this? The Troll Warlord, man fighting up against the Earth Spirit. OP needs a big fight. Burning looking for the Chronosphere. They'll actually isolate Ame, but remember, he's got the Aegis Immortal. Shake is going to lose his life just to burn this. And Burning, well, there goes your Chronosphere. OP, he needs this kill, but the Sonic Wave, the damage amplification is just way too much. Invictus Gaming, 4 heroes down. You know you're going to make it 5. Q can run, but they call GG in sub 20 minutes. LGD, this is a curb stomping by them.
Man, this game's just over.
Literally.
I mean, what do you think? IG knew they were going to lose a lane to Rax there. And if you lose a lane to Rax 20 minutes in against a lineup with Magnus Troll, it's not... You kind of feel like it's not going to be possible for your team to come back. It is a best of 3, so they have the next game to look forward to. Generally, in these lower bracket matches, teams try to play to the bitter end, but this game was just so out of hand so fast that it was hard to see IG with any opportunities.
And all of it started just to, well, escalate quickly after that Echo Slam didn't connect. They went for the fight. It was the double Blink Daggers that arrived, and IG needed that to work. The Chronosphere commitment into the bigger fight just made it even worse. And the snowballing went all the way of LGD. Like that Mag Empower buff up, like it gave the damage for the fight, but we didn't even see it like economically start to work with the farming.
So this puts LGD in a position where they have they won every game with and against Magnus on the main stage? I think they've won with it twice. Other games it was banned. The only team that beat LGD at this main stage so far was Virtus Pro. They banned Magnus both games and played really fast tempo against them. Yep. OG tried to take Magnus away, then they lost twice with it. And now IG give it away and get absolutely trashed. I think this is a ban, honestly. I think it's a ban against LGD, and then you try to beat them on playstyle. So you ban out the mag. I think it's the biggest comfort pick for them. It just makes their playstyle come together very nicely. And then still high tempo. I like IG's draft. I thought it was pretty good, but if you fail these couple of key moments into a mag lineup, you're just going to lose.
And Invictus Gaming should know this very well as one of the heroes that helped them when they were winning down in China, that big LAN event, which actually helped them get the direct invite. So Invictus Gaming had to scratch the heads, go back to the draft board, and understand exactly what they want to do in Game 2. Because right now, a 20-minute knockdown, getting your head back in the game, and staying in TI is the hardest thing that they will be facing at this event. Best of luck to them. We'll be back to see who can actually fight out Game 2. Will we actually go to a third decider? We'll find out.
Possibly the most one-sided game we have had on the main stage yet. Everything went wrong. And I mean, given that it was so short, it was less than 20 minutes by a hair. I mean,
it was actually one thing that went good for them. They were very aggressive. There were actually 5 heroes down at 8 minutes and got a couple of kills and got the tower. And at that point, it just looked good for IG. But after that, they just couldn't manage to do anything at all.
I think they had to hit a lot earlier versus the Magnus and the Troll. Like, you can't let them get level 4 in power and just start farming Ancients. That happened very early on in the game. There was like 5 kills maybe in 15 minutes, and then things started heating up a little bit more. But I think they waited for the Earthshaker blink, and then after that they started making moves, whereas I think it needs to happen way earlier.
Especially when he actually missed the blink echo, right? So they didn't manage to get the kill on Troll, and they might have won the team fight a lot easier if they actually made it. But
getting some flashbacks to TI4. Just China versus China teams finishing before 20 minutes.
IG were not looking happy.
Yeah, it was a rough game.
Backstage.
I don't know, maybe their lineup was just too slow, or they just misexecuted in team fights. I don't know. Like LGD with the roster on Yao, I think he's playing fantastic. Just collecting tower kills left and right.
Yeah, and so many clutch shackles to lock down Death Prophet. And, you know, Kevin, I want you to run us through that last fight that just happened. I mean, that was a very decisive fight.
Yeah, it really was. It was a pretty big advantage that LGD was working with at this point in the game. The Troll Warlord was way ahead, likely because of Magnus and because the laning stage was going well. And it definitely seemed, especially after the game ended, that IG was a little bit stressed out about how their game was going, much like I am because I ran IG on my fantasy today. The big errors that were made mostly were that you could just see small nuance mistakes, like Burning, for example, jumping to the left and possibly try to catch a Chronosphere, but LGD is retreating. OP uses a Spirit Siphon here. You can barely make out the outline towards Amy, but instantly runs and breaks it by running to the southwest, which means that he has to recast it again, and that in that time period, Troll Warlord's not taking as much damage. So it's like LGD is basically just completely outplaying them. Burning uses a Chronosphere at least like a second early, and that's a lot of disable duration that you're losing because he used it that early. Less Spirit Siphons, all of these things really add up, and it just makes a losing game even more one-sided.
I mean, Burning wound up being the only character in the entire game, the only player in the entire game to get any kills at all. I mean, Disruptor was having a rough time. Yeah. Earth Spirit was having a rough time.
It was tough all over.
And it seemed that they were like didn't have enough damage. They used the Chrono. They tried to kill someone, and he just like runs away. They only have the Static Storm from Disruptor to deal some damage, and then the Death Prophet ultimate. But apart from that, the Earth Spirit is not doing much of damage because it's such a low level, and the Shaker is, I don't know, he was dead or something.
So do you think there was a drafting thing, or do you just think IG was just outplayed here?
I think it's a little bit of both, because usually when you use your Chronosphere, you really want to kill someone and burst them off like straight away, but
they didn't have a lot of burst.
None of the fights actually went that way for them, so.
Troll's also really, really tanky, and if he gets his Whirling Axis off, like as Void jumps in, which I think is decently...
Which actually got off before
the Chronosphere. I didn't know
that
was possible.
The Chronosphere is on like top of him, and still he gets it off. But I guess that's how it works.
I mean, there were a few big key misses. I mean, already mentioned the completely whiffed Echo Slam. Also mentioned the Chronosphere that came down a full second early. I mean, you even heard commentators say they actually kind of liked IG's draft. It has a lot of huge team fight potential, but
I didn't mind it. I thought it was. I think it was pretty good, geared up against the idea of playing against melee heroes in that Magnus lineup. Maybe picking the Queen of Pain and having more of a balance. Not just totally dependent on melee heroes was a good idea from LGD.
Well, I want to get a little insight from the man himself, Jack, who's over in his own corner. Hello, Jack. Way off, far away on your own island.
How's it going, guys? Exciting first game, but. Well, for today's segment, what I wanted to focus on was last night we saw in the All-Star game, there was a Chinese player on each team, and maybe it wasn't the easiest to communicate. So obviously Dota, the international, is a ground for many different cultures and languages to play with each other. So I'm going to give a brief primer on how to communicate maybe with the Chinese players in your game, if the chat wheel isn't enough. So It's real simple. There's 4 numbers. And we can start with two. So two in Chinese. If you find something to be foolish or either an idea or a player or something like that to be foolish, you can say two. Three, which is sun, means kind of basically scatter to the winds and just run. Like for StarCraft 2, it would have been like splitting your Marines away from the bang. Everyone just get out. So that's three. If you want everyone to back and retreat. Five means basically smoke. So whether you want your team to smoke or you want the other team to smoke, you say five, because "wu" is the word for like kind of smoke or fog in Chinese. And then finally, six is reserved for if you think that a really good play just happened. Well played. 6 is like their way of saying, like awesome, that was a great play. So if you need to communicate with your Chinese teammate, that's a quick way to do it.
What does it mean, like when they type ... Because every time that I go to China and I write "ni hao" when I'm like playing in the pub, they just go ... all of them.
Well, they're probably just thinking, they're not sure how to respond.
Isn't it usually just the one dot, or do you get multiple dots?
I think it's like 2 dots.
Because I've really taken to the one dot. I think it speaks, it says more.
They're like, who are you? What are you doing here?
For me, it's like this dull thing where it's just like, ugh, like, you know what I mean? Just like, what are you doing? And you just give them a dot.
It lets you know that you're aware of them, but you have nothing to say.
Yes, you acknowledge their existence, but you really don't want to speak to them.
Yeah, message received.
Yeah, that's basically me in all my pub games. I'm a big fan of the dot.
I'm going to use those, though, like 2 and 5. It's going to be great.
Now, I mean, are these like are these more like jokey phrases that are used just for fun in pub matches, or do like actual teams like, spam 3 when they're...
I'm not sure if the teams would. I mean, they can't talk to each other.
Well, I guess they have comms, yeah.
But yeah, 3, 5, and 6 are pretty common. 2, maybe not so much. Well, there's other like bonus ones too, like 7. It stands for basically for Mikasa, because he used God of War 7. That's his old name. So whenever Mikasa's in the game, everyone will all chat 777, or you see it on stream. So
do you have any insight as to why Baboka loves the chat wheel more than any other player at this tournament?
For the same reason that any player does. It's just entertaining or fun to hear stuff. That
he just takes it to another level, though.
Languages. Yeah.
Jack, I do want to get a little bit of your thoughts on that last match. We've seen so many extremely close matches between Chinese teams, but this one was extremely one-sided. What do you think happened for Invictus?
I think the game plan coming into the series, so like LGD has Magnus. We saw, I think, OG take that away from them. They have like a Magnus lineup that they run very frequently, very well. They can pair it with a number of different cores, sub-team fights. For IG, they've tended in recent months more towards this kind of team fight composition. You'll see Disruptor paired with Earth Spear, some kind of combo a lot. And so it comes down to whether they can come online. In lanes, I would say that OP has less of a hero pool than his opponent maybe, so that will also determine, like, if they don't have a good early start for their mid, if they can't take towers and control the tempo, then it's a problem for them coming into the mid to late game. So I think those are the key themes to watch for these two teams going on.
And in terms of just mental recovery, exiting in a 20-minute game is really brutal, especially when there were some super pointed, clear mistakes. Do you think Invictus is the team capable of recovering, or do you think there's way too much momentum in LGD's favor right now?
I think that's something that they've actually struggled with from time to time. I've heard that they tilt maybe more easily than some other teams.
Really?
It's a bit difficult for them recovering, and you saw that kind of in the post-game shot as well. So they need to be able to adjust and put it behind them.
Who's the problem?
Not answering that one.
Is there anyone who's not the problem? Is there anyone who's like a really calm, well-known player, and then we can sort of intuit from there?
Well, Burning's a pretty calm player. Let's put it that. He's been through all of this before, and he's usually, like able to keep things under control. But I'm not sure if they'll all need to be on the same page for that.
Yeah, I mean, if communication starts breaking down and trust starts breaking down among teammates, I can't imagine you'll last on the main stage for long.
I feel like the trust here has been a little bit broken. I feel like Jack's had a lot of secrets he's not given to the people.
I know. How many letters is in his name, Jack?
You're supposed to be the Chinese inside, and you're just not telling us things?
Yeah, what about 1 and 4? What happened to those?
The
2, 3, 5, 6, 7. What about 1 and 4?
They're not used independently unless you want to go with 3, 1, 5, 4 and put it together. But that's a different time and place, different meme.
Ancient meme.
It's very complex.
The Chinese meme game is strong.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I got to ask, Jack, do they type question marks whenever there's a misplay?
Yes. Yes.
That's good.
That's
a
universal.
Yes, we found the common ground, the classic question mark. Jack, thanks so much for your insight.
Thanks.
Cheers. And now we return back to Invictus versus LGD. Invictus, I mean, I can't say it enough times. They did not look happy heading back out And of course, we mentioned this in one of the earlier days. When teams exit the main stage, they head back to these booths. They actually have metal detectors to make sure no phones or foreign objects can be brought into these isolation booths, just giving them a chance to recoup, but also to ensure that there's no additional outside information. And you would think that might give some teams a chance to calm down, but I feel like it can create a little bit of a pressure cooker if you're having a lot of emotion in there.
I think it's just different from teams to teams. I think Fly was talking about it, that like when they went out after they lost, that they were quite calm and just tried to feel that it doesn't matter if they lose a game, they can just win the next one. But it didn't really look so good for IG when they were out there, and it just looked like they didn't have the same read on the game, like maybe why they lost. Maybe some of them thinks it's a draft mistake, and some things that maybe they just played wrong. And that makes it hard for them to go into this next game, because they don't know if they should commit to the same type of draft and type of counter, or if they should try something new.
My guess would be just lack of coffee. You know, some caffeine in the morning.
Maybe some lack of Monster.
Sean, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, I've had probably 10 cups of coffee a day, every day that we've been here. It's awesome, man. And it's good coffee too.
Yeah. So that caffeine maybe kick in for game 2. That was a quick game, so they could have had that cup before game 1 and it hadn't even kicked in yet.
You know, we've been talking so much about IG, the difficulty and the tragedy of their performance in that first game, but what about LGD? I mean, they got to be feeling good.
They just have been doing what they've been doing in the other games to pick the Magnus and get the
same
heroes.
Yeah, same heroes, same like pick orders. Just, you know, this is what we do. Teams are like, okay, we know what they do. Let's beat it. And teams continue where they're just failing.
And they're like, nope.
IG might have had some disagreement about how they want to handle the Magnus. We thought that it would be risky for LGD to first pick the Magnus because they would have had a lot of time to prepare against it, but they didn't really seem to counter it at all. So maybe some of them like, oh, we should just ban it, and the Q's like, oh, we can handle it. This is going to be our draft, and then this total disaster happens, and then after they're like, oh, why don't we just ban it? Or
so are we thinking they're going to ban it next game?
I don't know. I would.
You know,
I think it's 50-50.
They have first pick, so maybe they first pick it.
Maybe Kunkka was the problem. Maybe they should have banned Kunkka.
They did.
Oh, did they? I thought they went.
I think it was the very first ban of the game.
Yeah.
I think so.
All right. My coffee should be kicking in.
There it is. And he's in 20 minutes, be on point.
Yeah.
You know, I want to just note that the Magnus, a lot of times you think of him for the insane power of the reverse polarity, gathering the entire team together and shoving him out. But, I mean, the Empower on Troll, I was shocked to see how far ahead in farm he was. Very, very early.
And sometimes you just pick for Empower.
Yeah, I think it's mostly Empower. RP's great, but Empower's where it's at.
They're like pressuring the opponent to make the moves, and we could see that they actually go 5 bottom at 8 minutes, and they also try to go into the jungle on the left room, the bounty room there, where they actually lose the fight. So from that you can see that they're really pressured. They want to fight them. They won't let them stack Ancients and get to the troll farm, because then they won't be able to win the game.
The thing about Empower is, like, usually you don't want to be farming neutrals because it's really slow. They don't give that much gold. They don't give that much experience. But if you can get your supports to stack them and you have Empower, you can just clear them out nonstop. And you're okay with trading up maybe a few towers to get these, like, massive Ancient stacks. You'll come out way further ahead. Normally, like, teams don't play in the jungle that much. We don't see any junglers from position 4s. We don't see any Iron Talon junglers from position 3. So it's just not a favorable place to be unless you have a Magnus.
So, I mean, I feel like we've discussed the sort of blunt solution if you're against LGD. Get rid of Magnus, right? Get Magnus out of the pool.
They can pick it. They have first pick this time. So we may see them play it as say XSS actually better Magnus than 11 in terms of being able to cast RP and turn and skewer. I think he's much more mechanically skilled on the hero. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this happened in game 2, and then game 3 you decide what you want to do.
Well, let me clarify a little bit more that, you know, we've talked about just trying to not give the Magnus to LGD. That's a huge strength, obviously, that they've showcased. But if you're IG, outside of that, what is the weakness that you're trying to exploit other than something focused so much around this one hero?
Invading the jungle a lot better. That's also a way that you can deal with Magnus, or just kill him over and over. Like, you have to kill him in lane, and then you have to kill him when he goes into jungle. But they weren't really able to do both of them at the same time. So I think your lineup needs to revolve around that, similar to dealing with Alchemist. You have to shut down the jungle.
Well, we've just gotten word that the players are back in the booths. The lobby is in, and game 2 is starting. We saw Invictus Gaming fall in 20 minutes. Can they recoup and tie things up, or will LGD be advancing to top 4?
Invictus Gaming versus LGD. Game 2.
Magnus is out.
Yeah, the more I thought about it, the more that ban made a lot more sense to me. I know I'm Captain Hindsight right now because it's right in front of me, but you're one game away from elimination at TI, and the team that beat LGD banned Magnus both games, and you're trying to beat it. Maybe this game you just, you know, you cut your losses and you put it away for now.
Earthshaker, Ancient Apparition. I like what you were bringing up yesterday about Ancient Apparition shuts down a lot of these heroes that have big healing plays.
I'm just not the biggest fan of picking the A this early because it's actually not good against anything right now, and they didn't even pick it with a combo hero, but...
Yeah, I don't think anything... I don't even know if like IG has any tendencies to play heroes that Ancient Apparition would counter. I don't, like, I haven't seen them play a lot of Alchemist, obviously no Huskar.
Yeah, it's less a lot of games where you actually see A fall behind and you don't have any stuns. Your ultimate maybe don't do that much. Like, I don't know. It's not the best hero to just pick.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think position 5s are pretty underwhelming this patch. It might, like, in terms of impact. So AA can have some like global presence where he can still get some things done, and the Cold Feet stun as well is it's not too bad nowadays. But
could also just be taken away from Invictus Gaming. I think Nyx plus AA is a very, very good combo.
So maybe a deny pick.
Maybe. I mean, the alternative was Shadow Shaman, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather pick Shadow Shaman or AA in that spot?
I guess Yao's probably going to be playing AA this game.
I'm very excited to see the Nyx Assassin in the pool. I mean, in times of past, Nyx Assassin, very durable off-lane hero, but for the last little bit, I mean, he has just been the king of roaming. We've seen him just shut down any hero in mid.
He might be an
intelligence hero
here. I think most teams play it in the 4, but I think IG's one of the few teams that change it up in between 3 and 4.
I would be a little concerned about him playing at 3 just because then they have Puck, Nyx as 2 of their cores, and that's a lot of control and not a lot of damage. I think if you're going to be running these 2 heroes as your cores, you're very much relying on burning play in like an incredibly hard carry. And with Earthshaker already picked for LGD, this is one of the most anti-carry heroes in the game because of the amount of lockdown he has through all three of his spells.
Maybe it's time for burning anti-mage.
Yeah, maybe. I know anti-mage struggles against Earthshaker.
He was just like screaming that's in the backstage.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna lose the TI. I'm gonna be playing my anti-mage.
Isn't that how they lost last year?
I mean, yeah, I think maybe they did.
I don't know. I'm personally a big believer in the idea of doing something that you are more comfortable with, even if it might be slightly theoretically incorrect.
It depends on who you're listening to. Are you listening to your carry play or are you listening to your team? And
it's not the hero that he's been playing the most lately as well, right?
Yeah.
It's just more the TI3, TI4 era or TI2 as well, where you picked.
You just don't want to show up in the booth and have it or show up to your game and have a player who's totally lost himself in the team, and he's like, okay, just give me this hero and we can win. And then it's like, oh, like, hey, this isn't really what we practice. This isn't how we run. Stick with the plan. It got us this far. Let's just keep going.
There's a difference between a comfort pick and a panic pick.
Yeah, no, and it's a very gray because sometimes you're comfortable with a bad decision.
Yeah.
You think we have any tells with the Razor ban? I think that's the most unusual one of the just 3 in the second phase.
I mean, either they want to pick something like Nyx, but it's not particularly good against Puck, I guess.
Yeah. So Razor, sometimes a mid hero, but he could also be. We've seen a couple times in like the aggro tri-lane challenging melee carries. He can solo. He can solo like a safe lane up against maybe like a Nyx off lane or Shaker off lane.
Yeah, Razor would be quite good against the Shaker, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that he can't get any more classes than with his.
Razor's just he's a very specific hero. In a lot of games he can be incredibly effective. He's up against a lot of melee heroes who can't deal with the static link. But in some games, he can be totally useless because there just isn't a great opportunity for him to static link anybody and steal that damage away. A lot of reserve time being burned from IG here on this last ban.
They're banning the CK here, the first in the second banning phase, mostly because of the AA, I guess. It's a very good pairing combo. They can go aggro try as well with Chaos Knight AA +1 and be very, very strong.
Bristleback also eliminated. What's your read on Bristleback?
Bristleback's been doing pretty well at this tournament. I've seen him have a pretty good amount of success. He's a very great frontliner. He allows your team to counter-initiate rather than being forced to initiate, so oftentimes you can get better fights.
Isn't it strange here, though? I think banning Bristle versus Nyx is pretty unusual. I think Nyx is seen as one of the pretty decent counters to Bristleback.
and that's because of Carapace and Mana
Carapace
Burn.
and Mana Burn. Bristle, I think, struggles a lot versus Mana Burn. Like, you won't see him picked very often versus
Yeah.
Invoker.
A lot of times we see Bristlebacks just like totally out of mana, whether it's from Mana Burn or Diffusal Blade, or they don't really build a lot of mana items, and they just run around and everybody ignores them. You can only do so much unless he's like super stacked on items, whereas like right click is very, very threatening.
Also, a lot of reserve time being used for this critical pick 3 from LGD.
Yeah, I would imagine. I guess they could take a core, but core is a kind of risky pick. It's they have options still to do Earthshaker as support, but probably some sort of support / offlaner hero here.
Both teams seems quite unsure, like what they want to draft, and if you compare to the last game where LED like really know what they want to pick with the Magnus, and IG probably had a plan to counter it.
Okay. So this hero, I imagine, is just going to be pairing well with their last 2 picks. There's not a lot of tells right now that say, hey, Bounty Hunter is a great pick, but committing to the idea of Earthshaker being in the offlane, and then they're going to be running Bounty Hunter as the 4.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know which things can easily dispel track, but you think this is a way to track down Puck a little more easily?
Puck doesn't really get affected too much by the Bounty Hunter. The track is obviously nice, but a lot of times Pucks will just build Yules anyways.
Here's what Sean was talking about, something to purge the track with. And it's also good against AA, as we spoke about the other day, that you can actually...
last game, both these heroes were banned for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Save somebody from the Shatter effect. You can also make them immune to magic. Pairs very well up against whatever might come next. They could still do Alchemist. They could still do Huskar. They could do... What was the other hero? What was the other hero we've seen with Oracle?
Seen Sven.
Yeah, Sven a lot.
Sven, yeah.
Sven is still in the pool.
Yes, I would say melee cores struggle the most against Bounty Hunter because of track movement speed.
We were talking about burning possibly going on Anti-Mage.
They just stole it.
Strong heroes and snatched right away. LGD are going to be running the AM.
Why it's very good with the Bounty Hunter is because Bounty Hunter is going to go around and place deep wards and scout the other heroes, which is going to make space for Anti-Mage to farm, because he doesn't really want to fight early on. He wants to get this Battle Fury and possibly the Manta style before he even wants to join a fight. So Bounty Hunter is going to try to make that space for him.
They could bunch out a Drow strat, actually, now that you see the Anti-Mage up. I actually like Drow a lot to counter the Anti-Mage, and
Alchemist right away.
Push him down, but they will pick the Alchemist. Very common pairing with the Oracle. Looks like it's going to be
And it's also one of the better heroes against Anti-Mage in the sense that Anti-Mage wants to farm, you're like, hey, sure, I can farm, but I have the Google Screed.
Yeah. You can give some Aghanim Scepters to his team.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't overstress what you were saying enough, Ake, about the Oracle Alchemist combo being great. Oracle's ultimate preventing any healing or damage.
It is unusual to see Alk picked versus AA, though. Usually you see like an Alk picked when
Oracle
you have a
just
ban immediately after.
Oracle just has more responsibility this game to be on top of it.
Yeah.
That's like the great thing about playing as AA versus Alchemist is you see this Alchemist cast his ultimate and you go, okay, he has too much regen, we can't kill him. But with an AA, it's, let's just go on Alk, he can actually die. So hopefully, I mean...
Then if Oracle throws down the magic community and then the ultimate in time, then Ancient Apparition's ultimate will wear off, and then Oracle's ultimate will wear off.
You have to wait 3 or 4 seconds for the A ultimate, like 3 or 4 seconds into the ultimate before you cast Oracle ultimate, because the Oracle ultimate can't wear off before AS ultimate.
Correct.
Now this is interesting. Alchemist is absolutely going to be the big gobbler of all the money on the side of the map of LGD, or excuse me, on the side of Invictus. But Lifestealer Puck, a very nice, aggressive combo.
Yeah, these cores match up really well against both Lifestealer and Alchemist. I'm sorry, versus Lifestealer. I'm just a little worried that they don't have enough team fight to defend their towers.
And of course, the final pick, Ursa. Oh, and it's also going on Sumnus, aka maybe. We apparently running it in the mid lane. And look at this, XXS is going to be on the Puck. An interesting match, given that Anti-Mage and Alchemist both want to gobble up lots of farm. Who will be able to win? Let's head to the casters to find out.
Invictus Gaming have to mentally drag themselves off the floor after game 1. At least they know for game 2 with this draft, the game is going to go a little bit longer, Synderen.
It better. if it's shorter, then they messed up real bad. Generally, Antimage doesn't win games before minute 20. That's a very rare sight. Totally different draft. They've switched it up a lot for both sides. This is there even a repeat pick from the last game? The Shaker was a pick in the last game. Apart from that, we have 9 new heroes, I believe, in this one.
Yep.
A lot of things to take in. Mainly, the fact that Maybe has the Alpine Ursa set is something that stands out to me. I don't think I have seen this.
You're such a cosmetic thing.
This is very... I'm actually not, though. I'm really not, but that one stands out. Obviously, this set... should I talk about this much? Maybe it's not that interesting.
Probably not.
Actually.
Let's move on.
I'm an expert in how to dress up your characters. That's what I talk about. So anyway,
let's talk about the expert and the other stuff. So you're running an Alchemist for Invictus Gaming. You've got that insane amount of farm that can come up. Now, one of the weaknesses when you run the Alchemist is with all the stacks against a Bounty Hunter, he should be able to keep track on all of this. Pun not intended. So how, as Invictus Gaming, do you protect your farm? Do you protect your progression with your heroes?
That's a good question. I think this last pick, Ursa from LGD, is going to do a really good job in this game. When you see these cores, you know the Puck is the only core that has a matchup against Ursa that is even remotely favorable or decent. And he can't play mid. But the Dire heroes can't really be placed in that way so that it makes sense. So it has to be the Alchemist versus Ursa. We saw this earlier in this tournament. I can't remember which team tried the Ursa against the Alchemist mid against IG. It was Liquid, actually, earlier in the upper bracket that put this Ursa against Alchemist. And OP did very, very well on the Alch. That was impressive to watch because historically this has been an awful matchup for Alchemist. But we'll see if Maybe can do a better job here than Matumba did in that game. LGD at least seemed to believe in it. And the Ursa has a good matchup in the game. That's another thing. One thing is the lane, but Ursa matches up well against both the Alchemist and the Lifestealer and the Nyx Assassin. It's actually a really nice Ursa game overall, and might be able to create the space that Ami needs on Antimage.
Yep. And he will need that. But that's when you look to the other heroes. You look to one of the best controlling heroes on Invictus Gaming side, which is that Nyx Assassin. He's going to cause problems early on, for at least for Ursa to have any kind of mana to do anything, but I suppose Ursa doesn't really care that much when all you're looking to do is get farm in the lanes with the Fury swipes. So Q just having an influence, and you already see him trying to aggressively attack in towards the Alchemist. This isn't going to be a passive style of play from the Ursa. He wants to do as much damage and keep the Alchemist away from the CS.
Notice what OP did with his item build. He started with Boots first on Alchemist. This is something, Boots first in mid is... I'm trying to think of what matchups you do it in, and the only one that comes to mind for me is Razor, that you would get Boots against Razor to outrun the Static Link in the past, but OP understands this matchup very well. This is all about outranging the Ursa and just not getting hit. Stout Shield is pretty much useless for him in this lane against the Ursa, as he will just be walking in, touching a creep here and there, trying to get the kill, and not really draw much damage from the creep, so it doesn't need the Stout so much.
Victoria is trying to harass the bottom lane out. Q has rotated down to help out XXS on that puck. But Victoria, oh, the stun will be there from Q. They don't have a lot of damage. They've only got the orb available. Q, very, very low. Thanks to the damage from Yao, they'll let the dust go so they can see Victoria. But XXS, he needed to connect with the illusionary orb, but he doesn't do so.
Actually,
so Victoria will stay alive.
I think he could have killed Victoria if he didn't jaunt there, but he
was worried about dying himself.
But, you know, AA used his cold feet. The Antimage doesn't have mana break. Could have tried for it at least, but taking the safe approach here is XXS, and so is Victoria.
He'll end up denying himself.
Very safe way to die.
Nowhere near as OP as it used to be. XXS has to just jaunt back to the Tier 1 tower now. But yeah, now with having that extended death timer when you deny yourself to neutrals in the early game, not as simple as it used to be. OP still having some fun in mid. In fact, Somnus may be having just as much fun.
Oh, he got an Overvenom. This could be a kill.
OP, he's already got 5 of the stacks, and now the Fury swipes. Somnus has the damage required. And the Alchemist, he was being very aggressive against the Ursa and pays the price.
That courier delivery was right on time for him, getting that Orb of Venom and the Tango pack. Well, he didn't really need the Tangos there, obviously, but the Orb came in.
Q,
was not ready for that.
He just missed his stun on bottom. They could see him with the Sentry Ward. They wanted to kill Victoria, and Ame was forced to be a little bit more aggressive. They haven't found the Sentry, and now, okay, it's Sentry for Sentry.
And that obviously favors LGD. They just want to make sure that IG don't have any Sentry. They don't really care about their own. There's no invisible heroes coming down here for quite a while. Q isn't going to be level 6 until like minutes 10 or 11 probably, so doesn't really matter.
It will take time. Burning's still having a good time on the top lane. He is neck and neck for the highest CS. Somnus is actually the man who is leading at the moment, 18-5 to the 16-6 of Burning. But it does mean bottom lane Nyx Assassin. Well, this is one way to catch up in your CS for Ame. Just help get the kill. It's going to be Yao who takes the kill on Q. Do you want to delay that 11-minute timing for Invis now? Especially as XSS takes even more damage. Victoria just hitting so hard.
I got the double damage. These lanes are going very, very well for LGD. Mid lane, OP, maybe just used overpower and hit 2 creeps first.
That
was a bit of a misplay.
Yep.
And OP will stay alive. I think he would have died there, actually. Maybe could have run him down and got another Earth Shock off.
This is just problematic. They need to actually bring the Nyx Assassin back to the mid lane to try and create space, but you wanted the levels for the Alchemist as well.
He's getting boots and bottle delivered on the Ursa now. This is going to be so difficult for OP, but he's managed to find pretty good CS on the Alchemist. Sitting on those 18, and now he can retreat to the jungle to farm some stacks that don't exist.
Oh, Q's trying to do it.
He will make one, and Q will make the other one. And they should both be successful here. Good timing. And it's leaving the bounty run for him.
Much needed money for OP. And Victoria, now we look for him. He's got 2 Observer Wards available, and he'll want to try and check it out. Alchemist disappears from the mid lane. His flags of warning bell, the bounty hunter now turns from lane harassment into camp watching. And he's going to do exactly that, right on top of OP. Even leeching the experience is worth it here.
He could potentially kill him here if OP gets a bit too low. Looks like he will be bottling.
And no chemical rage. He can snipe the courier. He's got the 2 Observer Wards. They need that vision. Courier turns around to go towards Q.
He's not going to kill that courier without Janata.
Somnus is rotating over, looking to go in towards the trees. OP's already back behind the tower. And with Q nearby, maybe this isn't the wisest choice.
OP is probably just going to jungle now for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Instead, just walk back to lane maybe once in a while, put an acid spray down to protect his tower. But apart from that, he will need to farm here.
At least Bobica's nice. He's prepped a triple stack plus a double stack just to the western part of where OP's farming at the moment. But Victoria, he's watching like a hawk. And you're right, he's waiting for that right opportunity. Without mana for Shuriken Toss, he now has it available. Maybe Victoria has that damage required. He'll go for the first attack. Still got the toss available. He's waiting for OP to drop a little bit lower, and the Shuriken Toss will be enough. This is the problem we knew was going to come.
Yeah. That's such a big kill to get for that bounty hunter. It's a lot of experience going his way. He can choose to skill Janata now if he wants to. Maybe get a courier snipe a bit later. Set up for that.
And more space arriving for LGD. Somnus is now not just heights like on CS. His net worth is sitting about 3.1k compared to the 2.5k of the Lifestealer. This is really problematic. The fact that Ursa is going to be the man with momentum, and right now LGD have the map control. They can even look towards Roshan, and there's nothing IG are really ready to do to contest them yet. Your Alchemist isn't big enough. Burning's finding farm, but until he's got Armlet, he does not want to fight.
And something we haven't really talked about yet in this game that is really showing is the support duo of IG. They have Bobica on all.
Oh, not again. It's coming again. Somnus is on his way in. Phase Boost just came off cooldown. That'll give him the movement speed. Both Janata plus the Orb of Venom. OP prepping his stun. He doesn't see anyone. In fact, he's going to stun himself. Somnus, Phase Boost. Where's the extra attack? It isn't coming. He went to the right, Somnus, and OP went left. Burning is in the neighborhood. Bobica's here as well. And Somnus, this is a big rotation. They want to make it work. Even 11 has moved up for LGD, but instead, TP back to the mid lane, realize for LGD, this is not on.
This is the classic example of an Alchemist game. When one team plays Alchemist, both teams play Alchemist in that game. That's... Everything so far has been centered around messing with OP. The Bounty Hunter and the Ursa. Sure, the Bounty started bottom a little bit, just to secure that lane because he knew Ursa had a good matchup, but like the whole draft from LGD has been focused around countering this Alchemist with this Ursa last pick, else they definitely wouldn't have chosen that hero. And the Bounty Hunter is being really annoying. And you know, this is what I was trying to get at with this Bobica Oracle.
Well,
actually,
this could work. Yeah, they put it down. The question is, can they hold him there? They lost the vision up the high ground.
This is very... I mean, I think I've seen Bobica play this hero.
Oh, there we go.
It's
now this they can make work. They dust onto Victoria. They're going to wait for the first little stun to come in from Bobica, allowing for the secondary concoction onto Victoria, and they have the damage required. IG really needed something to happen. They need that bounty hunter gone so they can shrine up and finally finish these big stacks for OP. Get the money coming his way, even though he's only got 1 point up in Greevil's Greed. He went to 3 points Acid Spray.
Yeah, I think his skill build is the correct one. You can't farm jungle with level 1 Acid Spray and 3 in Greed. It takes way too long, and he